I want to get straight to Stuart Green, spokesperson with the TTC. But before we get into that, Stuart, first of all, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit about this service interruption that we were hearing this morning, at least when it comes to the Presto card system. What's the latest on that?
So right now it's still under investigation. What we do know, it's a very strange one. I'm going to be honest with you, Mark. It's the fare vending machine. So in every station, subway stations, there are two machines. The larger machine, which sells the fare vending fare tickets, and you can reload your Presto card. Then there's a smaller green machine that allows you to reload your Presto card. The smaller machine is working. Some of the larger machines are not when using debit and credit. So there's some back-end work being done by our partners over at Presto. We do know it's sporadic. We know that it's not every station. So our best advice is if you're using a debit or credit card to try and reload your machine, either use that small green machine or just simply use your debit and credit card on the fare gate or on a vehicle, because of course we have open payment now. So there are ways around it. It's a very strange one. It's sporadic, but they are addressing it.
Any sort of timeline at this point, Stuart, as to when this will be fully restored?
No, we don't have that just yet, but we do know that they've made it a priority and they're working hard. Our CEO spoke to Phil Verster this morning, and they've made it a priority.
Another thing I want to talk about is, when this happens, obviously next week is going to be a big change, and we'll get to that in a second. But if this kind of a situation happens next week, as you continue to ramp up service, what's the backup plan? How do you get these kind of things resolved faster, especially next week when we start to see a lot of these lines, a lot of these routes ramped up?
Yeah, so as I say, this particular issue is limited to the larger fare vending machines and stations. The workaround is to use your debit or credit card on the gates or on a vehicle directly, and then you can reload your card at another time, or using those smaller machines. We do have collectors and staff in all the stations, so if you encounter this, by all means, please approach them. What I will say is that Presto, obviously, they work very closely with us when things like this arise, and they have made this a priority, so we are hoping for a quick resolution.
Stuart, I also want to talk to you about, obviously, the increased service next week. I know a lot of the funds are coming from the $60 million that's set aside for the LRT. First of all, how much of the funds that are going towards these ramped up routes, increased service, is coming from that $60 million?
So the announcement we made this morning talks about service increases over a number of months. The September increases that we're doing, which are typical for back to school, people coming back to work, those are budgeted and planned for. So those were already in the works. We had the budget for that. What's happened, though, is that we realized when Metrolinx announced that Line 5 and Line 6 wouldn't be opening this year, we took a look and we said, can we reallocate that back into service? Speaking to the mayor and our chair, the decision was made that we would in fact reinvest some of that money, about $11 million, back into service that people will start to see in October and November. So it's great. It means that we can, while we don't have the higher order transit that the RT, the Crosstown RT brings, what we will have is increased bus service right across the city. A number of these routes, the large majority of them are in Scarborough, so that's really good news for the people of Scarborough. And then, of course, in November, we have a whole reworking of bus service through Scarborough into Kennedy Station directly. So a number of things in the works, but yeah, all of this is because we were able to find some, we're going to be underspent on the Crosstown operations. We've reinvested that into bus service.
All right, Stuart Green, spokesperson with the TTC. Thanks so much, Stuart. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers.